Hi guys, how you doing? I just thought I'd do a quick video of things to maybe consider you try and improve on during the break between now and August. So I'm going to try and make this video as quickly as I possibly can, so we're just going to get right into it. I think the main thing that people should practice on the break is the squat. And when I say the squat, I don't mean putting lots of weight in your back and trying to get stronger at it. I mean improving your ability to go deeper and lower while remaining upright in the squat position. So you could just use your own body weight for that. I wouldn't suggest you use lots of heavy weights. The reason for this is because I think that the squat, a deep squat with nice tall posture, is indicative of a very well-rounded body, especially in relation to the lower body. The problem is with most exercises that you get in gym classes, coupled with the fact that we sit down a lot, lends itself to poor posture and lends itself to the glutes being weak and switched off, the hip flexors being tight and short and firing because you're sitting down, and it leads to the quads doing most of the work whenever we do any exercise like step ups and squats. Things like spin classes. I'm just, not that there's anything wrong with exercising on a spin bike, but I feel that because of our sort of culture of sitting down a lot, I just think spin is from a postural point of view. I'm not talking about energy and things. From a postural point of view, it's just not very good for most folk because it's all about the quads and it's all about leaning over the handlebars, which means the hip flexors are nice and tight and short, and it means that the glutes are just sitting there doing nothing for the most part, and the shoulders are rounded, so the upper back muscles are poor. And I think that's something that happens all the time. Not just spin, even people going out running. It's the same posture, rounded forward, very short, small, high knee, low knee drive, which is related again to tight hip flexors, rounded shoulders, weak glutes, short hamstrings. So in other words, the posterior, the entire back area from head to toe is neglected, and that's why folks struggle to squat deep with tall posture, because they're so tight in here and so weak in here that they just squat down and they just lean forward, and they just can't get any lower, because their quads can only do so much on its own. So I really believe that everyone can benefit from a better squat. I am aware that there's things online that say, oh yeah, like everyone should be squatting differently because we've all got different femur lengths. There is a degree of truth in that, but I think it's too easily used as an excuse for most folk to think they could just squat to a wee bit above or at parallel and then that's fine. There's even been articles done on it by really prominent guys saying squatting to parallel is as far as you need to go, which just frustrates hell out of me, because I just think that's the way the fitness industry is going right now. Everyone just talks. They just say the things that everyone wants to hear, and a lot of the time they're more keen on impressing fellow personal trainers than they are just trying to help the clients as such. So there's no reason why you can't get better at squatting deeper. I'm not saying everyone needs to squat ass to grass, right? But there's no reason why 6'4" guys cannot learn to squat into a deeper position below parallel. And the advantage of that is that it will work your glutes a lot more, your upper back. It will make you more athletic. It will help reduce back pain if these glute muscles are switched on. Because remember, the glutes are under the lower back for a reason. They're the biggest muscles in the body because their role is to support your lower back. So quite often the lower back isn't the issue. It's weak muscles around it, whether it's the core, tight hip flexors pulling in the lumbar vertebrae because the hip flexors attached to the lumbar spine, or the lumbar disc, should I say, or it's weak glutes, or it's a combination of all of these. So practice the squat, please, and you will be heavily rewarded if you do. It will take time though and perseverance to get better at it, especially if you've got chronic tightness in the hips through years of neglect, and not considering these things, which is understandable. There's no reason why you should have, because no one's told you. So all you can do, well, there's a few things you can do, but one of the things you can do is just practice sitting in the squat position. Okay, so we want to get nice and low, so just do it. Just sit here, watch telly, watch the news, watch the Olympics, sitting in this position. If you feel you can't quite, you sort of play about with it. If you feel you can't do this without falling back, just grab onto something that's going to hold you up and just try and sit back, lean back, and try and transfer the weight slowly onto your heels as opposed to the toes. You might find that your ankles get a wee bit sore. That's a sign of a wee bit of ankle tightness, which is again another reason to improve it or do it to improve that, because ankle mobility is one issue with inability to squat deep. So ankle mobility and hip mobility are the two main things that will prevent you from squatting deep and upright. Okay, so if your hip flexors are really tight, okay, and you start to squat down, you might start to do this, because these have got nowhere to go. So you need to improve the mobility in here. And just practicing a deep squat can help that. There's a few other exercises you can do to help it. Try to sit down less. Sitting is the new smoking, okay? In more ways than one. It's not just about less activity in this country, it's also about less muscle activation from sitting down, because it switches all these muscles off. So try and sit down less. If you've got a job you can't do that, where you sit at a desk all day, just get up every hour and walk about for 5 minutes, okay? If your boss gets into trouble, then I don't know what you can do. Just tell them you've got bigger things to worry about than work. You need to improve your ability to squat, right? So do a lot of squatting. Just practice it. Practice it with your partner or your kid. Like, this is how you can start playing with your kids. Like, this is what I do a lot. Like, they'll jump at you. You're in a deep squat. They jump at you. You can just sort of like play about with it, and you get down to their level. Go low. Like, crawl about. Like, move better. Move more. But sit down in the squat position. I said to a few folk in the class, ideally, a wee test is to put your finger behind here, your knee, and you want to crush your finger as hard as you can by getting down as low as you can. So you want eventually for the hamstring and the calf to touch. This, I'm not saying I expect people to squat this deep with a bar on their back. I'm not saying that, but there's no reason why everyone can't do this just without a bar, just to get used to opening everything up, opening the hips up, opening the ankles up, the upper back muscles. So just try and sit in this position with nice tall posture. It will be uncomfortable if you're not used to it. That's the whole point. You're trying to force your body to move on a level, to take it up to the next level, and that's going to be one of the main things I think you should do. Another one to do would be the shoulder bridge. Okay, so I'm thinking, I wouldn't be surprised if Emma does this in her class actually next week. Shoulder bridge is a good one for getting the glutes working. Okay, so you just literally just push up and try and transfer as much weight as possible onto your shoulders, okay, by squeezing the backside muscles. Okay, this should be a really good glute activation exercise. Equally, if you're doing this properly and you're pushing your glutes forward, you'll feel a hip flexor. Okay, you'll feel the hip flexor stretch, because that is what it does. So you can maybe hold that for 5 seconds at a time, maybe do 10 reps, couple of sets, 3 sets or something. So the glute bridge, really concentrating on transferring your weight onto your shoulders and through the glutes away from your quads. And just think, these two, the glutes and the hip flexors, are usually related. Okay, so if this one's weak, this one will tend to be overpowering, and that's what causes this forward lean, because it's short. So if it's short, it pulls you forward, especially because it's attached to the 5 lumbar discs here, and that will cause back pain. But if you strengthen these glutes, what happens to them? You clench them, and they open up, and they push the hips forward. So it helps lengthen the hip flexor, and at the same time, it helps strengthen the glutes. So it brings the hips into neutral, and you automatically get a better upright posture. And that's the thing. Everything's connected. Like, a muscle is either weak or short. Can it be both? I'm getting confused now. But if a muscle is weak, usually if a muscle is overbearing, okay, it'll be doing more than it should, at the expense of the opposing muscle, okay, such as the shoulders or the back versus the chest. So again, because of a rounded position, a lot of folk will have like short, tight chest muscles and weak upper back muscles, and as a result, that's the position. You strengthen your upper back muscles, and what happens? They open up, okay. The reason I know this is not just through experience, but personal experience. Years and years and years of running when I was young, no one told me about posture and how to fix it, or even to be aware of it. And as a result, I had really crap posture. My posture's still not good, but it's much better than it was. So I know this stuff works. I also think squats. If you've got a strong squat, you're strong. It's as simple as that. Especially in your lower body. If you're a strong pull-upper, you're just strong upper body. But when it comes to the lower body, if you're a strong squatter and you're a strong, deep, upright squatter, then you're going to have like glutes like cannonballs, right? You're going to have strong hamstrings, and you're going to have strong legs and quads. There's no escaping that. You also have to have a strong upper back to keep yourself upright. That's the whole point. You can't not be in good shape and have a good physique, and a good athletic physique with if you've got a really good, strong, smooth looking squat. Now, I'm keen to stress that point, because that doesn't mean a powerlifter squat. They're different. I'm not saying powerlifters don't have good athletic tendencies as well, but you can get away with a heavy, deep squat, and it doesn't always transfer to athleticism. And I would say that the powerlifting squat is one of those, potentially. Now, I know that's maybe a bit debatable, but I just think if you've got to really look at an Olympic weightlifter, there's a different type of squat. They'll ask the grass no problem with 250 kilos in their back. The guys and girls are superhuman, but they'll also be extremely fast and explosive as a result of that, and it's because it means everything is working in synergy. So that's what to practice. You could maybe even practice some one-legged hip thrusts, okay, like that, but instead of having your shoulders on the floor, put your shoulders on a couch or a bed and then perform them, or even hold them statically. These are all exercises that I think will really benefit that. Now, obviously, I'm not saying just do practice squatting and that's it, but I just think if everyone can improve their squat, it will just have such a massive carryover effect to so many other exercises. I think if you've got a strong squat, you'll have a strong deadlift. I don't think you can necessarily say the same the other way about, because a deadlift's a reduced range of motion. It's on the floor, you just need to pick it up, you just need to reach the bar and pick it up. Squat is all relative to your height, so if you've got a really good squat and you're 6'5", you're just a beast. And it's different. So it's just a slightly different exercise. I'm not saying deadlifts aren't good. Of course, I would do them all the time, but I just think the potential carryover on a squat is slightly greater, in my humble opinion. So yeah, that's something to maybe think about. I'll try and come up with some other ideas for you. But basically, stand tall and squat deep.